From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big day here on home LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. We'll go over that major letter from Congress to the White House about Build Back Better Act, which you're going to see in prime time tonight on Evenings LA at 5 o'clock. Then we'll be going over a preview of Jay Powell's testimony and statements in that FOMC meeting in less than 24 hours, what it means for you and your SS300. Then we'll be looking at those $80,000 of checks that have gone live. Have you gotten your checks? I'm going to show you how. Then we turn to sixth stimulus and a new part of the equation in the second half of this video with I Stand Ukraine, China. Is China taking an allegiance with Vladimir Putin against Ukraine? All the latest breaking news you're hearing right at the time of this recording. It's unfolding overseas in Rome. Negotiation is underway right now between China and U.S. delegation. And this is part of really sixth stimulus. The Putin stimulus to buffer the oil, energy, commodities, and potential banking industry that will be impacted by Vladimir Putin coming in April. This is a major stimulus package. Then we'll be looking back at CR, which will have another round at the Pony Ride this week, and all the other sums of money like third stimulus you can get as well. It's a big recording, direct and live from Santa Monica. If you're watching 11 a.m. live from Santa Monica, and if you're watching in prime time at 8 o'clock, boy, it's at 7 o'clock, it's a big night across the board. In this recording, the big money from third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Yes, we'll go back to those unemployment benefits and the SSI benefits at issue. And then we go into the big equation. Ukraine. Is the White House trying to be drawn in by Vladimir Putin? He is trying to. He's not winning at it. But a new battleground, and it could be, yes, the word China. The latest details in this big broadcast from Santa Monica, live on air. It's Home Edition. I Stand Ukraine. And the latest details on what's happening with Vladimir Putin and his acts of aggression against Ukraine come into this day's recording, both domestically and internationally. The breaking details start right now from Santa Monica, California, on Ho. Hey everybody, I hope you're having a beautiful day. We're here along the coast of Santa Monica, California. We're monitoring the situation with China, a major developing detail between the United States and China unfolding right now at the time of this recording in Rome. I'll go over to that in just a second. But first, the first part of this recording is your money. Second part is Ukraine and how it's potentially bringing us into recession. And Vladimir Putin bringing us into recession on Ukraine, his acts against Ukraine in the second half of this video. And those $80,000 of checks heating up in just a second. Have you gotten it? I'm so excited for you. A lot of money, and it all starts right now with a major developing detail, which was unearthed this morning on Mornings Out of Late. If you watched it live, the Congress has sent the President of the United States just minutes ago, today, March 14th, 2022, a letter saying pass Build Back Better Act. This is huge. I'm going to feature tonight in Evening's Primetime, America's most watched financial show in primetime, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 7 Central, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The letter's huge because they say they're going to pass it. Now, why do I not particularly like the letter? Why? The context of the letter's all off point, saying pass Build Back Better Act because of what's happening with Putin and we have an energy shortage. No, you have to fix the energy situation separate from Build Back Better Act. More about that in a second. But this is huge news. And remember, Build Back Better has those incredible checks in there. $15,000 to $80,000 of checks across 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. We're going to go over each of these checks in prime time tonight in that 1-hour special broadcast. I look forward to seeing you then. It's Evenings LA, America's most watched show in prime time. But remember, those 3 clusters pay about $15,000 to $80,000 of checks already in there. In that first cluster is in there the hazard pay and the $4,000 of elder care, and also the children's check and other checks featured tonight in that evening's broadcast. The second add-on, the first add-on is $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. The second cluster of checks has home repairs and paid leave. Lots of money in there across the board. The paid leave, it's upwards of $46,000 a year. W-2, 1099, if you don't work, if your son or daughter who does work, they're going to get the check. And the home repair is even more money. This is to weatherize your home. The second add-on, it checks $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Again, this is the Build Back Better Act for stimulus recon. And then when we turn to the third cluster, seniors and free internet, seniors getting a lot of checks, dental, vision, hearing, and eligibility age of Medicare dropping potentially as well. And of course, the Medicaid gap fix. And then finally, the third add-on of checks are those MSC. Who would get the MSC? Tonight, I detail that tonight in prime time on Evenings LA, 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. But what's important to understand is that these are checks that would be added to the existing recon that already has $15,000 to $80,000 of checks. These would come on a monthly basis, $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. And there we go and rock and roll. Build Back Better Act, the subject of new letter. The letter I don't particularly like because the letter doesn't give the reason why Build Back Better Act should be passed. Really, it sort of pivots and talks about Putin. That's what Build Back Better is not about. That is what six stimulus is about. More about that second. But the good news, apart from that letter, is this map. Yes, Build Back Better Act, not law, but this, which I call a fourth stimulus add-on, is law. It is the homeowner's grant. And how do you get it? Become a member. Let's go over the details of it right now. And I'm very excited how viewers have moved and poofed so quickly to get this money. First, it was debuted by the President of the United States 2 Fridays ago. And as soon as he debuted it, I had it live on air. That night, it went into the membership newsletter. Not in broadcast, not in print, not in cable news. They're not covering it. Much like they never covered details like this. So immediately my members had it in the membership newsletter that night and have it in every membership newsletter every night. How do you learn about it? Become a member. The link is under the video, the top of the chat. The membership newsletter goes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. So what is this money? It's a lot of money, folks. $15,000 to $80,000, number one, per household. Number two, meaning if the household has 4 people, you don't quadruple it. That's $15,000 to $80,000 per household. Number three, for the same income qualification as a third stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it. And then if you're on benefits, you can get it as well. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, you can get it as well. Remember, income zone, and then you're ready to rock and roll. And you have to own a home. If you don't own a home and you're looking for assistance as a renter, it's coming up in just a second. It's third stimulus. So, what is this money to be used for? Great stuff. Homeowners assistance like rent, like mortgage payments, property taxes, home repairs, association fees, utilities, and more. All this is featured in the membership newsletter. So go into this video right now and become a member. The newsletter is delivered via the YouTube alert system. So if you got an alert that a new video was playing, like this video, that's the alert system. It's not sent via email. It's not sent via lobsters. It's not sent via waveable checks at the beach. Hey, how are you, check? No, it's delivered via the YouTube alert system, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Now, let's look at the maps to understand where this is. If you're with this channel since day one, you remember the importance of applying immediately. Why? It's first come, first serve, number one. Number two, you get the money faster. This channel launched on April 25th, 2020. My very first recording for those 2 viewers was unemployment PUA was about to go live. No one knew what it was. And I said in 3 days it's going to go live, but apply today because the application portal is open. Viewers have listened really well, and they're now applying for this because guess what? When you apply today and the portal's open, but not paying in some cases, then as soon as it starts the payment, you get paid the first day. If you wait till the payment portal's open, then you get back in line behind other people who applied first. You want to be first in line when applying. So let's look at this map. Let's look at the map so you understand the situation. First, it is everywhere. So if you see your state is gray, don't worry, it's everywhere. The only difference is when it becomes everywhere. It is currently paying out and accepting applications, both in the teal states. So it'll receive your application and also pay you right today. In California, Texas, Florida, example. Next, if you're in a pink state, it'll receive your application, but it won't pay you today. So that means you need to apply right away. Pink, like Ohio, South Carolina, Mississippi. Gray, I believe, means not open yet. So if it's gray, do not worry, apply right today. And I don't remember what green means. I don't remember what gray and green means, but the bottom line is as soon as it goes live, to accept the application, apply. And again, this map may change by the minute, by the hour. This is a national map, so don't rely on the map. Just rely on the membership newsletter. Go right into your state and watch that state and refresh it every day if it's to make sure it swaps to accepting the application. If it's accepting the application today, apply right after you watch this video. Now, how do you get it? Go right into that membership. If you're not a member, become a member. The link's at the top of the video or at the bottom of the video. Then open the newsletter. It's at the very top of the letter. The newsletter, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. It'll feature the name of the program. It's longer than the homeowners grant. It's a little bit longer name. Then it'll feature the link to go right into apply. It'll feature everything you need to know to get approved. And I'm so excited for my viewers. My viewers have really listened hard and long and gotten their application file. On tonight, Evenings LA, I will feature one viewer who is absolutely wonderful. She got her application on file in Texas. She said, it's so simple. Thank you, LA. I followed exactly what you did. I got my application on file, and they said it's complete. So guess what? She's in a state that's receiving the application, paying the application. So if her application is complete, she's probably going to get paid in just a few days. Incredible, great news. This is live. Now, CR for stimulus. CR for stimulus will get a second ride at the pony ride because guess what? The president's looking to do another introduction of another piece of domestic spending this week because he did not get COVID into the CR. The CR passed last week, and while there was no $2,000 stimulus check in there, Congress did exactly what I was asking for, but a different way. They put county stimulus in there. Yeah, really surprising. I'll feature it tonight on Evenings in the Light. So there's county stimulus in there. Reach out to your local county for details on that. I can't feature everyone's county, of course, on this channel. Then, in the next 24 hours, major developing details on the SS300 front. Let me go over what's happening. Tuesday, March 15th, and Wednesday, March 16th, Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, will be testifying before the FOMC meeting. And at that FOMC meeting from March 2022, they will give you the guidance for the policy for this month. We already know that, however. He already told us. For the month of May, Jay Powell will be battling inflation with a quarter basis point this month. But what is he going to do for June? Hopefully, he'll tell us tomorrow or the day after. That's why you want to tune into this channel because it's big for your benefits. Why? Joe Biden promises to swap out cola for inflation. Joe, make the phone call. An issue is the following equation. Let me go over the analysis for you. Inflation is currently at the highest price point of a generation, 8% as of December. As of January, we now learned last Friday. But Wall Street, myself, and now the bond traders do not believe that inflation may be 8%. Why? They are thinking that maybe inflation is actually tracking higher in the month of March, or at least the month of February. Why do we know that? Because they're trading up the 10-year Treasury note. The 10-year Treasury note hit 2.18% today, which at the time of this recording is the highest price point since July 2019. Why are they trading up the 10-year Treasury note? Because they think that inflation is going to go higher than it was last reported last Thursday, which is a month back in data. Oh boy. So Jay Powell will be looking at that, one. He'll be looking at Christine Lagarde, who's the ECB central chair, who thought inflation was a little bit too robust as well last Thursday. And then he'll be looking at everything he needs to do to battle this. Remember, Jay Powell's not doing anything too aggressively tomorrow or the day after, but he's going to give us potentially guidance for the month thereafter. If he comes aggressively, then I get a little worried. Why? Because aggressively could smack us in the month of April down less than 8%, let's say 6%, before Joe makes that phone call. Joe, make the call today. Swap out cola for inflation right today, before inflation starts to trickle down as a result of Jay Powell's pivoting in the month of April. And that's why that FOMC meeting tomorrow and the day after, March 15th and March 16th, Tuesday and Wednesday are huge. You need to tune into the channel that day as well. Remember, if Joe makes a swap from cola inflation today, you lock in that higher rate, not just for this week, not for this year, a lifetime. You want to lock in the rate higher, and that would be about $200 more per month right now. Incredible details. Once inflation comes down later this year to, like, say, 4%, you get another $100. But you don't want to wait. You want to swap cola for inflation right now. That's how it works. Let me go over fist stimulus. Perfect place to bring over fist stimulus right now. Viewers asking, can you bring back fist stimulus? Absolutely. So let me explain something to you if you're new to this channel. The numbering system I use is just to clarify, to separate things out. It does not mean one sequentially happens before the other. It does not mean you have to wait for third to end before you start fourth. Obviously not the case. Third stimulus is still paying out while fourth stimulus is also paying out. The homeowner's granted $8,000. You can get that as a homeowner. As a homeowner and a renter, you can still get third stimulus because it's still paying out. And sixth stimulus is going to happen at the same time. So they overlap across the board. That's more important to remember across this channel when you watch the videos. Now let's go into what's happening in the second half. It's a big second half, and it's a second half I don't think I've ever had like this. In the second half, we're going to go over your money more in depth, and we're also going to go over what's happening with Putin, China, and the United States. It's a shocking developing detail. In the second half, we'll see why the White House, at the time of this recording right now, is meeting with a delegation in China. It's huge. It's huge for your wallet. And it's part of what's becoming very entangled because of Vladimir Putin. We'll be looking at sixth stimulus, which is happening at the same time. And this sixth stimulus is not to battle COVID. It's not to come out of COVID. It's to battle the R word, recession. And the White House, Germany and France are looking at that situation today. But what is the White House not doing? I'll go over the analysis like you don't ever see in any other video of this channel. That's what the second half of home and stream stimulus is. Going over the oil situation today, which is brand new. The commodity situation, which is brand new news today, which is wheat, grain, and soybeans. And also the banking industry. But what's also brand new, the China part of the equation. It's a part of the equation I hope to have never recorded, but now I have to, because now the United States says China is a potential part of the equation. What's happening? It's coming up in the second half. But first, here's a little bit about the community page before we come back with big sums of money and third stimulus. The toast was toasting this morning, and at noontime, the sun is coming out on the West Coast. Hope you're warming up elsewhere across the country. See you back in 60 seconds.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues in the second half of Home LALATE, direct from Santa Monica, California. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over your big sums of money domestically and the big sums of money coming from sixth stimulus. But first, let's start back with that map. Yes, that $80,000 of checks are now live. This is across the country, and this is for homeowners. So if you own a home, go apply. Don't overthink it. If you own a mobile home, don't know if you qualify, just apply. Do not wait. First come, first serve. Not going to be in limited sums of money. Go get the money. Next, if you're a renter or a homeowner, either one, go get third stimulus. We have a lot of new members in the last few days. And remember, third stimulus pays for homeowners and renters. And also in the membership newsletter, it also features the repairs that the nonprofits do. Remember, the nonprofits also help with some things like refrigeration equipment, like a small refrigerator or a portable heater, a broken window. So remember, use all the benefits of that membership newsletter. Let's look at that big third stimulus. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city house authority, your county hall, and your county house authority. And the words you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. See, you can get both rent and also homeowners assistance. Then lean on the nonprofits, because the nonprofits pick up for some things I don't even have time to cover in the videos, like small appliances. Yes, you'd be surprised what the nonprofits do. Open that membership newsletter. It comes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. And then lean on those nonprofits. Remember, the average view of this channel gets about 45,000. Tonight on Evenings LA in Prime Time, I'll feature another viewer, Brian Graves, who got on, by watching Evenings LA this week, last week, got 8 more months of rent. It's huge. Average viewers have gotten about 45,000. In the last 2 weeks, the average viewer has gotten about $10,000 on top of that. So this is huge, and it's addition to the $80,000 of checks. So you can get this if you're a homeowner plus third stimulus, and if you're a renter, you can get the third stimulus. Huge. And I'm really excited the viewers who are always in the live chat expressing to other viewers what you can get, pounce, Purple Hawks, pounce, and get that money across the board. Now, let's go into 6 stimulus, which is huge. And 6 stimulus is becoming very over-encompassing. I got to tell you why. I think you know what's why. Because 6 stimulus is not only a major stimulus package coming your way, but it also signals where the economy is going. So it's a very large topic. It's almost an overreaching topic. Let me tell you how it started. 6 stimulus was first debuted on this channel March 8, 2022. That was the topic of the second half of this video. Why? Because Anthony Blinken, your Secretary of State, reached out to Germany and France, our partner allies, and said, get off of Russian products. They said, we can't. We're too economically dependent upon them. Then 4 days later, they pivoted and said, you're right, Blinken. We'll get off of them because morally, we can't be buying Russian products at this time. But to get off of them, what are we going to do? Germany, France, United States, with progressive leaders. We're going to debt spend. We're going to raise our national debts in our respective countries and do the biggest stimulus package you've seen of a generation. Now let's go back. During the Obama first days in office, the largest stimulus package in the United States was passed to bail out the banking industry that was about to go under at the end of George Bush Jr.'s term. Then the second biggest package was the first one under Trump. The first stimulus package to battle COVID. This third was, second never became law. The third stimulus package was Biden's American Recovery Act in early 2021 to come out of COVID. Fourth, Build Back Better Act, which will get passed, is coming out of COVID. Fifth, has nothing to do with COVID. It's seniors and their disabilities and SSI and VA beneficiaries. And then this sixth stimulus is because of Putin. 6 stimulus is because of Putin. And today, a lot of breaking developing details. First, let's go over the details of what 6 stimulus is. The countries of Germany, France, and the United States all have progressive leaders. The one equation of it is April. In April, we'll see whether France's leader, Macron, is reelected. If he is, 6 stimulus is really locked up. France, United States, and Germany will all pivot and do it. On an international level, 1. On a national level, 2. And also at a state level. As soon as I recorded that very first video about 6 stimulus on March 8th, later that night, state governors, Republican and Democrats, said, we're doing something like this. Why? Because they will not allow you to pay $4 at the pump every single week indefinitely. They know you'll go under. So they want to give you assistance. So what is 6 stimulus for when you say Putin stimulus? In its broadest sense, it's gasoline. But in its most specific sense, it's everything. Gasoline, 1, wheat and grain, 2, the banking industry added to the equation yesterday on this channel, 3, and now potentially the 4th one, and the scariest one of all of them, China. First, let me go over the breaking news in China. At the time of this recording, the United States delegation is meeting with Chinese authorities in Rome. Why? An intelligence report obtained by LA News and obtained by the by the White House suggests that Vladimir Putin has reached out to China for 2 types of help. 1, help militarily to battle Ukraine. Oh boy, yeah, it's going there. And number 2, economic help. Now, this is what's big news for you. Why? Putin has been sanctioned by world Western leaders since day 1 of the invasion. He's going under. His economy's going under. So he's reaching out to China to bail him out. And China is mulling over the issue. Mulling over the issue? That is why the White House has dispatched its top negotiators say, you can't mull the issue. You got to say no. I don't want you to take it. China so far has not taken a position on the Ukraine-Russian war, but to not come out and say no to Putin and to let the situation sort of sit on the table, it doesn't look good. So, at the time of this recording, which is March 14, 2022, live on air for Santa Monica, California, just before noontime, we're waiting to see the results of Chinese top diplomat Zhang Yiqi meeting with National Security Advisor for the United States, Jake Sullivan, in Rome right now. I don't know what the results will be, but I'll have them tonight in prime time on AB's LA at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. At issue, we need to have China say, no, we're not bailing you out, Putin. This is your war. You can do it yourself. If China doesn't say that, everyone's worried. And if China bails them out, we're really upset. What's at issue? We've sanctioned Vladimir Putin. World leaders have sanctioned Vladimir Putin. And if China bails him out, this looks like China's pitting itself against Western Europe, Western allies. Very, very bad situation. So we do not know if this is escalating militarily, if China does provide assistance to Russia, either militarily or economically. But here's what you need to know. And here's where it gets very, very scary. If China gives $1 to Russia to offset our sanctions, then the United States and the Western allies will sanction China. And if Western allies sanction China, it's not like sanctioning Iraq, Iran, or Venezuela, folks. This is sanctioning one of the largest economies of the globe. And if we sanction one of the largest economies of the globe because they're trying to now provide assistance to Vladimir Putin, then guess what? You're going to be really economically hurt at home. We have to sanction anyone that takes sides with Vladimir Putin, I got to tell you that. But we also have to solve the problems at home because it's really going to hurt this economy. Now, here's what's really shocking. On Sunday, I saw a Chinese story. I was going to run it. I just didn't have time. And that Sunday's Chinese story was enough bad news unto itself before I got to this bad news. That Sunday Chinese news story was China's in a 6th wave of COVID. That is so bad at the moment that there's major concerns that our inflation will go up because of supply chain disruption. Why? The same thing as last year. If China suffers COVID, it goes on lockdown. It can't ship you the computer part for the computer, which is made in Ohio, and then Ohio can't sell the computer, and then the price of computers go up. It's the same supply chain problem we had half a year ago, 6 months ago. That was a story I was going to run today. I thought that was enough scary news unto itself. The fact that China may be mulling over possibly giving money to Russia to offset our sanctions, and that China could be sanctions. And if China's sanctioned, guess what? We really don't get their products. Then we really have a supply chain problem, and then we really have a recession. Oh, really, really scary. So now let's go back to 6 stimulus. 6 stimulus was to start with oil. Then I told you on the second day of the invasion, it was also about, maybe the third day of invasion. It was then also about the commodities. Then yesterday I told you it was also about the banking industry. Now I tell you it's also about potentially China. Let's go over each of those situations right now and give you the update because they're very, very fluid situations. First, on the oil situation, let me tell you what's happening in the United States. In the United States is only importer of 3% of its gasoline from Russia. So morally, we will get off of Russian oil. Morally, I also have to wonder, why is Congress taking so long to do this? At the time of this recording, they haven't banned Russian oil in the United States. Now, a lot of the U.S. buyers of oil have now saying, I'm not buying it. But Congress hasn't passed that legislation. I mean, it would take 10 seconds to do it. There's bipartisan support, so I'm not quite sure morally why they haven't gotten it done. But economically, we can increase production domestically. Now, this is where it gets a little complicated. The gasoline that's produced in the United States is not all ready for your gas pumps. Why? Because the gasoline in West Texas is reportedly too rich and is not refinery ready. The gasoline around the Gulf at the bottom of Texas reportedly is ready. It's more lower quality crude that equates to Russia, Middle East, and Venezuela oil. That's ready to go into your pumps. So it would increase the production. We have to have the people who are in the right part of the United States increase the production. Not all of it is ready to go. But here's the part of the equation which I understand, you understand, and I got to tell you, I think the guy on the corner selling the pretzels understands. Gasoline's more expensive. Why aren't we making more gasoline? I think everyone understands this. I think a 6-year-old in middle school understands this. If we made more gasoline in the US, wouldn't it be cheaper? Yeah, we all sort of understand this. We understand the energy shortage in the 1970s was because there's not enough gasoline. That went up. So everyone's looking back thinking, why haven't we made more gasoline? It only takes one person to explain it to you. Because, I'm the guy, I guess I'm going to explain it to you right now. Because the White House has not told them to. The White House, for the first 2 weeks of the Ukrainian invasion, refused to answer the question. Undersecretary to Janet Yellen, Willie, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce his last name right, is appearing on broadcast media right now. This guy is about as evasive as a guy can be. He avoided the subject matter 3 times in an interview a week ago when asked, why aren't you ramping up production? When asked while Texas oil producers asked for the White House to get the order to increase it, he refused to answer the question. Well, guess what? Last week, we ended the week with the White House having the Energy Secretary, who I really like, coming out and saying, we like the idea of increasing production. Okay, why don't you just give the order? Increasing the idea is not giving the order. So I'm saying, that's a good idea. I like that. That's a really good idea. That doesn't cut it. That doesn't increase production. The way you get production increase is you actually give the instruction. Increase production. The White House has done that. Why? The White House is playing games here, folks. I got to tell you, everyone's going to understand this. The White House knew that ramping up production of gasoline domestically would be an issue in October of last year. Because why? I knew it, you knew it. I told you there's 100,000 Russian troops at the Ukrainian border last October, Halloween. I said if Vladimir Putin invades with any of those troops, we're going to have an economic crisis next year. We better be ready for our contingencies. Where's the contingency on this one? Ramping up production of oil. Good. We knew that since last year. We knew that day 1 of the invasion. It's now week 3 of the invasion. Have we ramped up production? No. How long does it take? 24 hours, 10 seconds. Write the letter, pick up the phone, say, Texas, increase production. White House hasn't done it. And I got to tell you, I think everyone on the street corner knows that. And it doesn't look good for the situation. When you go to the pump and you pay $6 a gallon in Los Angeles, what is the price of gasoline in your city? Jump to the live chat right now. Nationwide, the price of gasoline, let me tell you what the data is today. It went down. The Brent crude, that's the international benchmark. But the price of gasoline at the pump, just a few cents. It's currently $4.33 a gallon, nationwide average, according to AAA today at the time of this recording, which is just before noon on March 14th. But that's an unsustainable number. At that level, we go into recession if we stay at that number through May. So we got about 6 weeks to work with this, folks. We got 6 weeks for the president to get that price down. If he doesn't get down, we go into recession for 2 years. The rest of his administration will be in a recession. That's equation number 1. 1, you have to get the price of gasoline. You have to increase production domestically to keep us out of recession. Pretty simple concept, isn't it? I think it's pretty simple. Number 2, you have to keep our partner allies out of recession with their energy situation, or we go into recession. Why? The way economies that are interconnected work, and yes, this is blue and yellow, the way they're interconnected work is that we can be totally fine as an economy, but if we do business with England, Germany, France, Italy, and they go into recession, they'll pull us into it as well. And that is why the situation is very bad. Here's the situation right now for international oil, and I am really not happy on this front. We have about 5 possibilities, and each of them are falling apart, one after another. I'll feature them tonight on Easy Light. Let me give you the broad situation. Number 1, Venezuela, the easiest of solutions. Venezuela is the number 1 producer of oil and the number 1 exporter of oil. So why can't we get more oil to our partner allies and even to us from Venezuela? Because Venezuela is one of the most sanctioned nations that the U.S. deals with. Okay. So Venezuela's out of the equation at the moment, but I'll come back to Venezuela in a second. Number 2, Iran. Why can't we get oil from Iran? Because Iran is one of the major sanctioned countries of the administration and prior administrations for many years to come. What is the breaking news on Iran? Iran had breaking news, which you may have seen on Sunday's version of Evenings LALATE. Negotiations to get a nuclear treaty that would solidify removing the sanctions and getting oil released fell apart. Negotiations have been going on for years, and then it looked like it was the finish line. They're in Vienna, and what happened? Negotiations between Germany, France, the United States and Iran fell apart because Vladimir Putin reportedly said, "Don't do a deal." 1 point for Putin again, folks. No deal, no money no oil from Iran. Number two, Iraq, the OPEC plus countries, of which Russia is one of them. We could have had oil come in from Iraq. Iraq is not increasing production or releasing it, despite initial rumors. Number three, United Arab Emirates, which has been one of our partner allies. This looks like the best hope of all of them. OPEC would not allow UAE to increase production. Why? Putin says, don't allow it to happen. Don't increase production. One after another, one country after another is not helping us because they're being approached by Putin and say, don't help them. They're hurting me with their economic sanctions. That is the oil situation. So here's what has to give. And here's my commentary. What has to give is you can't just sanction everyone left and right and leave yourself with nothing to survive as an economy. Here's part of the equation. If your economy is dependent upon an item like oil, and you sanction every single top producer of oil, then where are you going to get oil if you're trying to get off Russian oil? This is the problem with Germany. Germany has an actual pipeline from Russia to Germany. It's called Nord Stream 1. And Putin's vowing to turn it off. He's getting so upset at everyone. He's saying, I'll just turn off the pipe myself and you will get no more oil. I don't care about your sanctions. I'll turn off your oil. So if Germany woke up tomorrow and had no oil, guess what happens? Germany has no backup. Germany goes into recession. And we go into recession. Putin can throw us into recession by turning the pipe and turning it off overnight. It's that scary right now. That's oil. These countries need to get allegiance. These Western allies need to get allegiance to say, hey, we got 5 countries we have problems with. We have problems with Iran, we have problems with Iraq, we have problems with Venezuela. We have problems with all of them. But we can't sanction everyone and have nothing available for oil because we're getting off of Russian oil. I mean, this is so obvious. I don't know why no one in this administration, no one in the leadership of Germany and France understands you can't just sit back and say, we sanction everyone. We sanction everyone. So do we have oil? No, we have no oil because we just sanction everyone. There's no alternative to Russian oil because we hate everyone at the moment. Wait a second. What's going to happen? We're all going to go into recession because we just sit back and say we love our sanctions. I know a lot of these countries are very bad countries. I know we have to have sanctions against them. But in times of economic despair, you have to say, okay, of these sanctions, which of them can we remove because they're the worst of all the evils at the moment. Very, very compelling and confusing situation. But has the White House done anything with it? Nothing. Awful. Okay, let's turn to wheat and grain. This is where I wanted to say, Joe, this is about as basic as Economics 101. And this one's very easy. The wheat, grain, soybean, corn industry could send us in a recession. Yeah. Farmer John. No, not Farmer John. Farmer John's counterpart overseas. Let me tell you what's going on. We do produce a lot of wheat domestically and corn and soybean, but guess what? The price is surging out of control. So it's 9-year high. Why? Because Ukrainian-made harvested wheat, grain, soybean is out of the equation. Those farmers cannot harvest the crops because they're defending their country. And the crop will be lost for this season and next season. Because guess what? They can't prepare the soil for next season. And maybe several seasons because the crops may be destroyed by Vladimir Putin because of his antics. So with that, where is the solution? This one's an easy one. Remember, the way you solve the situation is increasing production. Same for oil, same for wheat. So Brian Deasy from Yale, if you're listening, this is how you do it. You give an executive order to give stimulus to our farmers to increase production under the Wartime Act or some version of it and say, hey, I'll give my farmers extra money in the United States to increase production. We will increase production to offset the shortage of production from Ukraine, and then we'll figure out a way to get it to our partner allies like France and Germany. Increase the production, get it to our partner allies, then the elimination of the wheat and grain from the equation out of the Black Sea is no longer a threat because we solved it by increasing production domestically. We don't have any shortage of farmland here, folks. This is an easy one, and it's very easy across the board. It can be done tomorrow But the question is how long it takes to get those crops growing. I'm not a crop expert. I cannot tell you how much crops are ready to rock and roll, which is always part of the analysis. When we talk about the oil, I just told you some of the oil is not ready to be going into the refineries. How much crop do we have ready, and how much crop could we have ready in 4 to 6 months? Has this analysis been done by anyone? Me, you, the White House? No. Germany, France? No. And guess what? It's getting out of control. Viewers have been in the live chat say, I noticed the price of bread. It's going up. Is that why it's going up? Yeah, that's why it's going up. Next, banking industry. My eyes pop out when I get to this one. This one scares me badly. Why? Because I don't know the risk. If I don't know the risk and you don't know the risk, then it's very scary. What's at issue? U.S. banks absolutely do have investment in Russian bonds, do have investment in Russian stocks. They also have them in Chinese ones as well. What happens? Well, if Vladimir Putin's economy goes under, which it may likely, then those investments are worth zero. And so then when U.S. banks report their corporate earnings in Q2, Q3, they have a line item. Hey, we have a $500 million loss for investment we had in a Russian bond. Oh, by the way, and we're going to take a big loss this quarter. Corporate earnings are down, stock plummets, and guess what? It's one after another of the banking industry. Suddenly you have the threat that potentially some banks may go under because they have such major losses. We don't know. Maybe that's a situation. But remember, Joe should know this. Why should Joe know this? Joe's very first job as vice president under Barack Obama, day one, was to bail out the banking industry at the very last days of the George Bush Jr. tenure in office. In fact, it was such a serious situation at the time. There was an agreement between George Bush Jr. and the Obama administration, which was allow the Obama administration to come in and work on that stimulus bailout program during the transition days, even before Obama was president, because it was such an urgent situation. And that became the largest stimulus package in U.S. history before first stimulus one under Trump for COVID. You don't want six stimulus to turn into a banking bailout situation. And I know someone in the live chat yesterday said something like, they'll give money to bank before us. No. You're getting your money. Six stimulus is about you. It's about banks. It's about gasoline. It's about everything. Everything needs to be fixed, folks, because if your banks go under, you have no idea how horrible your life will be. You do not want your banking industry to go under. And then we go to China. Oh, Lord, like I need something else part of this equation. China is very scary. Why? Let me tell you all the bad things that could come from this. First, if China is giving anything militarily to Russia in the future, this is not a Russia-Ukrainian war anymore. That you clearly know that. I don't have to tell you that analysis. Number two, if we have Russian sanctions out there, and then China is giving money to Vladimir Putin to offset those sanctions, to basically, you lost $500 million, here's some money from China. Then guess what? China has now pitted itself against the United States, and China will get sanctioned. And if China gets sanctioned, guess what? We don't get those products, many of which are made by U.S. manufacturers in China, and we go in recession. A recession like you've never seen before, because China's a very large economy. Number three, if China does nothing and says, you know what, don't tell me what to do, United States. I'll figure out what I'm going to do. But I have not given Putin a penny, but I'm not going to be told what to do. If they do that, guess what? Everyone's going to be scared in their feet for 6 months. Because everyone knows we could wake up one morning and suddenly there's a news article that says China did get the money. What is my takeaway of this situation? I am very anxious to see what happens in this Rome today. I'll have the details in prime time on AV's LA. I don't want to predict what China's going to do because I'm just scared about it. Takeaway today is that Vladimir Putin and his acts of aggression on Ukraine are now growing as acts of economic aggression against all of us. Number one, he has gotten the OPEC plus countries not to increase production of gasoline, which is negatively impacting our economy and our partners, countries, allies. Number two, he has gotten the negotiations between the United States and Iran and the negotiators, which include Germany and France in Vienna, to stop so that we can get Iranian oil for our economy and our partner allies. He has successfully stopped that as well. Number two. Number three, he has now blocked the exporting and tangentially blocked the harvesting of crops in the Black Sea because there's a war there. And now that's negatively impacting our wheat and grain industry. And if he knows the analysis perhaps better than I do, which maybe he does, he may know it takes too long to replace those crops because they're crops. You don't like pump extra oil in 20 minutes. They're crops. They take 2 seasons to prepare. And if the 2 seasons have now been ruined for several seasons to go, he's succeeding on that front as well. Number 3, or we're at 4 now, the bringing China part of the equation in there, even the threat of it is scaring everyone to death because we sanctioning China? Oh, we may have to, but where's the backup? Here's my takeaway right now. Vladimir Putin's trying everything he can to draw the United States into the war militarily. It ain't working, folks. It ain't working. We ain't falling for that. Joe Biden ain't going to fall for that. Joe Biden is not passive aggressive. He is not going to be drawn into this war. President Zelensky wants to draw the United States into the war. We're not going into the war because of President Zelensky. But economically, into the battleground, well, as the Western allies sanctioned Vladimir Putin aggressively, we had to understand that we could get some pushback from them. The very first thing that was detailed on this channel as soon as day one of the invasion happened was a look back at October last year. October last year, I told you 100,000 Russian troops at the Ukrainian border. I told you if one of those troops goes in Ukraine, it will be the biggest economic story of 2022. Well, it is. I got it right again. But what I didn't know, and what I'm shocked to report, now, March 14th, 2022, is that the White House had no contingency plans ready economically between us and our producers in the United States, like farmers and oil producers, and nothing ready with our partner allies, like Germany, France, economically, if that invasion occurred. Now, we're at week 4 of this invasion. And as I sit back here, I'm very, very happy with how Joe Biden has dealt with the military situation. I'm not happy with how he's dealt with the economic situation. Has the White House gotten anything done with domestic production of gasoline ramped up? No. Has the White House and the partner allies gotten anything done to get oil production ramped up internationally and delivered to our partner allies? Because remember, they need it, otherwise we go into recession. They've attempted with Iran, but it fell apart. So now with Iran no longer part of the equation, you can't just put one thing as your only hope. I hope that was not what the White House has done. Is the White House considering lifting those sanctions of Venezuela? Lifting some dealing with OPEC directly? It's not. And it hasn't gotten a backup plan. There is no backup plan. And they are not telling us any backup plan. And so those news reporters that sit in that White House press room every day and ask things about, other parts of the war, why aren't they asking these questions? The U.S. press corps is absolutely dropping the ball on these economic questions. These are questions I've been featuring on this channel for 3 weeks. And I want to know, why has the White House not gotten oil ready for our partner allies? And what is the White House doing with Iraq now that OPEC says Iraq is not increasing? What is the White House doing with UAE? As UAE, which we've often helped, is not helping us. What is the U.S. doing with Venezuela? Is it considering lifting some sanctions? Is it doing with the partner allies to lift some sanctions and get that Venezuela oil? Where is the U.S. getting that oil from? Or is it doing it anywhere? Before I turn to wheat and grain, I got to turn back to that letter. Nancy Pelosi did not sign that letter, which is going to be featured in tonight's evening's LALATE. And I don't know why, but I got to tell you, a new letter from the Congress, House members to the White House, to asking to pass the Build Back Better Act, shows you why these legislators may not be around much longer. These legislators who are Democrats, they say pass Build Back Better Act because we need climate change reform like electric vehicles because of what Vladimir Putin's doing. Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't expect anyone in Congress to be an economist. I don't expect anyone in Congress to have an MBA, but I expect them to have some common sense. We need to ramp up production of oil in the United States right now. We don't have to talk about someone getting a $50,000 electric vehicle. I understand Build Back Better Act needs to pass, but don't talk about the wrong subject matter at the wrong time. You know what? When you remember back to the Clinton campaign with Carville and Stephanopoulos, you remember what the theme was, what the slogan was? It's the economy, stupid. It's the economy, stupid. Why are you writing a letter to the White House about Build Back Better Act and you're talking about climate? Everyone and their sister and their brother is talking about inflation. Guess what? I've been talking about recession for how long has it been? Maybe 2 weeks on this channel. Everyone's now starting to talk about recession. Everyone's now talking about it. I have conversations with people I meet on the street, and they say, "Why do you say recession?" I said, "Because the gasoline is not sustainable." Well, I thought it's going away. The people I meet on the street. I said, "No, it's not going away. If it stays here for 8 more weeks into May, we're going to recession." Oh my goodness! Why is the White House not doing anything? I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's turn to wheat and grain. Wheat and grain is so simple. If it works, I don't know if it does work, but it makes sense. The U.S. should be reaching out to farmers in the United States and increasing production, giving them subsidies, emergency relief to increase production of wheat, grain, soybean, to bring down the price dramatically internationally. Remember, if you flood the market with the product, it doesn't have to be flooded in the market in which is impacted. Wheat and grain in the Black Sea, gone now. So you can flood the market with it domestically made here. If a partner ally, let's say like France, let's say it has an extra area of the south of France that they can increase production, increase the production there, flood the market, bring the price down. This is simple, folks. I can't believe that nowhere between the United States, Germany, France, and Italy, there's no place that we can't work as a team to give those farmers big subsidies to increase the production, bring the price down. Because remember, if the wheat and grain prices now at the 8-year high stay there, we're going into recession. Do this now. Don't wait. In the case of crops, we have to work ahead of time because crops have a delayed factor, unlike oil. Banking industry as well. And then the China part of the equation. Folks, I don't know what to say about this one, because if China says, "Don't tell me what to do, I'll do what I want to do, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do," I'm worried, because a Chinese sanctions, not that the White House has considered it, but any sanctions of China would send us into major recession. A very, very fluid situation across the board. For now, the good news is that there's big money for you. Become a member today. Go right in this video and get that $80,000 of checks. It's a time like this that we don't know what will happen by the time 6 stimulus heats up in about April. Get those $80,000 of checks right now. Get that third stimulus money right now. Open the membership newsletter, get that membership newsletter, and become a member right today and get that membership newsletter tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and apply for those monies right now. Get the monies on the come. We'll be watching the situation with that CR revamping later this week, potentially. SS300 with Jay Powell testifying on Capitol Hill, testifying at the FOMC meeting tomorrow, not Capitol Hill. And then the 6th stimulus, all heat up in prime time. If you're watching the show at 11 a.m. live on air from Santa Monica, coming up next is your Afternoons LA edition. We have a brand new Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And then if you're watching the show in prime time, next up is Evenings Extra at 8 o'clock. Last night we debuted a new show called LA Sunset. So if you like that show, tune in tonight at 9 o'clock. It's actually opposite another show called Overnights LA, also at 9 o'clock. And with that, we'll be watching what's happening in Rome and have the latest updates on those U.S.-Chinese negotiations happening at the very time of this recording. And I'll have it tonight on Evenings LA in prime time. Tune in, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and 7 o'clock Central for Evenings LA, America's most watched show for financial news in prime time. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful evening across the board. Our prayers are with the people of Ukraine, and our prayers are for all world economies impacted by the events unfolding by the moment. From the shores of Santa Monica to the shores of the Black Sea, stay informed and stay focused. Stay with LALATE throughout the day, and stay with LALATE for more as we stay on top of the story, both domestically, internationally, and all across the land. And prayer for Ukraine.